I love that song. What a great beat in the background. It just makes you feel like you're floating. Kind of like that song Baker Street. It's a great song. The saxophone in that song. Good evening, everybody. Allison, Kib Kitty, Cassie. Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. My bad. I had an echo coming from somewhere. Cassie, Dre, Phantom, Kel. Getting my headphones back in here. Cherry, cherry. Got a lot of stuff tonight. I got some extensive notes. SRB, how you doing? Got some extensive notes from this phone call. So, what's up, Bruin? Go ahead and put that up there. If anybody took some notes over that phone call and would like to hop up on panel or call the phone, you're more than welcome. I had some issues earlier and I have everything set up the correct way. I'm not sure what's going on, and it worked when I tested it before, but for some reason I'm missing the calls. So if I miss your call, do me a favor and just let me know in chat that you would like a call back. Nobody cares, meatball? Okay. Bye. A meatball, that's interesting. All I can do is light thumbing on my phone, so just I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for hopping in here and hanging out. Yeah, I don't know what that was, Marshmallow. Sorry, man. But there's plenty of YouTube channels out there, and I'm sure you'll find one you enjoy. I didn't see you come in, Phantom. Yeah, I took some notes on this call. I got 2 pages of notes. Just stuff that she mentioned or stuff to look up, just to check out. So I kind of went through it a few times, wrote down all the notes. Figure if we got some time we could check it out. I do want to go through some of the other videos that have came out through this evening and last night, so we can get through some of those. And I don't think it's that much, honestly. There wasn't much going on today. There are some News Nation ones coming out, so I probably should check Brian Enton's Twitter real quick. But yeah, if anybody would like to call, and if for some reason I miss it, please just put in the chat that you'd like a call back, and I'll go ahead and give you a call back. And just to make sure I know who I'm calling back, just put the last 2 digits of your phone number with it, and then I'll know that's the number that I'm supposed to be calling, because I don't know what was going on. I don't know, they must have blocked me because I went to remove the comment and I didn't see it no more, so I don't know. It is what it is. You get that. It's called YouTube. It is what it is. But there's plenty of channels out there, so they can go find them. All right, let me see what Brian Enton's got on his Twitter here, see if there's anything new. No, I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing any missed calls or anything. Let me test it to see. I can hear the ring. Yep, it says I can hear the ring. So if anybody does call and I don't hear it, just let me know and I'll call you back. I do have that option as well. And you'll see my number show up when I do call you back. Okay, 1-2-2-250-8484. Yeah, the Vikings lost. The Dolphins lost. Wow, what a close game. All right, let's see what's on Brian in here. Let's see, nothing since January 12th. Yeah, I don't know who it is. All right, so there's nothing new on Brian Ent, so I'll go ahead and go to my folder here. So yeah, if anybody has notes on that call, hop on up, let's talk about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this update, this Athena arrest. This is a case that Dre had emailed me a few days ago. We went over it, I think, last night. I appreciate that, Dre, for the link. So we'll see what the update is. I'll get this music turned down too.
At burning at the past hour.
But there is still no word on where little Athena is. News 4's Adria Goins has been in Surreal all day. She joins us now live. Adria.
Yeah, moments ago, Kevin, we did learn that there has been an arrest in this case. OSBI confirming that a family member, Alyssa Adams, was booked into the Caddo County Jail for her connection in this case.
Alicia Adams was arrested today at 4:12 p.m. on 2 counts of child neglect. The counts are related to the 2 sisters, 4 and 5, who were in her and her husband's care.
Now, I did ask if Alicia's husband would also be arrested. OSBI would not comment on that. So there has been some progress that's been made in this case, but still no signs of Athena. They just posted this picture of her outside of the church. The town of Surreal looking much different from 24 hours ago. Family Life Church, the epicenter of a once busy command post, now empty of volunteers. Only a few cars involved in the investigation of Athena Brownfield's disappearance remain in the parking lot. Despite that, OSBI says the search for the missing girl is still very active and ongoing. Yellow tape now gone from the home where went missing her older sister Adina, discovered by a mail carrier Tuesday. A tweet by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children confirming Athena missing days before authorities started investigating her disappearance. And we also know that trash service here in the town has been suspended, so investigators can look at every option in finding Athena. Now, we also do know that we asked if this was considered a nationwide search, but OSBI says they're still sticking to Oklahoma, but they have received some tips from out of state, and they will be looking into those as well.
Wow, some tips from out of state. That's interesting. Oh, we got an update there. Let's see, my interviews. This is Thomas Frost. This is who we have a lot of the drone footage of the Delphi stuff. He had an interview. That's interesting. It's a crime. Patterns and tracks after the murders. Whoa, what is... Yeah, I wanted to see what this video appears to show. Plane rolling on its side before crash in Nepal.
You were live in the CNN newsroom. Cost and walk begin with tragedy in Nepal. At least 68 people died in the country's worst plane crash in 30 years. Search and rescue teams were at the site and will be back there at daylight on Monday. 4 people are still unaccounted for, and now the search for answers begins. This is apparently just moments before the crash. Take a look at this. The plane rolling on its side while flying low over a populated area, and then this. Our Vedika Sood is following the story, and she joins me now. Vedika, that video shows some really unusual movements by the plane just before it crashed. What more are you learning?
I'm sorry,
Quite a rare
SRB.
video
Just
there,
mute it
isn't
for a
it, Jim?
minute,
You
please.
barely see such videos just before a plane crash, but that was caught on camera. We believe that is just moments before the plane crash. Now, according to officials, 68 bodies have been recovered, 4 are yet to be recovered, and search efforts have stopped for the day, and they will resume Monday local time in Nepal. The
Worst plane crash in 30 years. I never even heard of it. It just came across. Nepal. Okay, let me see here. We might get into this later. This is a video from Deccan Felonies. I thought was a pretty good video. Let me see. Inside the courthouse. Let's talk. So let's hear what he has. It's been a few days since we heard Scott Reich from Crime Talk. Let's see what he says about Kohberger. Oh, 1 second. Let me back up. Get the
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich.
Whoa, hey. Let me get the channel link real quick so I can post it while we're watching. Let's see. Yes, man arrested in Phoenix, but said for outstanding warrant might be using that. That is true. Just him and their 4 kids, I think, took off. Wow. Yeah, thanks for sending me that link. That's crazy. This is Crime Talk. Let's see what he has to say about Kohberger. This is 5 hours ago.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. This is the weekly recap of all the top stories throughout the week, conveniently located in one spot. Did I mention top stories from this past week?
Leave 15% off.
All right, so there's some new video in the University of Idaho murder case.
Really?
That could support the investigators' theory that Brian Kohberger, the suspect, actually returned to the crime scene in his white sedan shortly after he allegedly,
if this is what I think it is, we already debunked it.
Killed 4 students. That's right. Brian Kohberger's phone.
Cassie, let me check after this. I'll see if it works. And I'm doing good tonight, Coat. How are you? And I'm happy that my sports podcast went good. I only got 1 copyright issue, and there's no effect as of right now. And it was for about a minute of the show, and it was Speak for Yourself clip that we watched, so I'll know to never use that clip again. But other than that, it was a success. My new strategy worked, so it was exciting. And I can't wait to do my Monday Night Football Cowboys versus Buccaneers tomorrow night. I'm so excited.
Allegedly pinged in the area of the student's Moscow home around 9 a.m. on November 13th.
I hope you guys are doing good,
5 hours
too.
after he allegedly went into the house. That's a burglary with the intent to commit a crime therein, i.e. homicide, and stabbed the students to death. Now, that's according to the probable cause affidavit. That's their theory. Now, there's been some footage taken near the home in the afternoon on the following day showing a white car driving by. Now, Kohberger drove a white Hyundai Elantra, which became a key in the investigation in the search for a suspect. Now, the white Hyundai Elantra is believed to have been driving by the white Hyundai Elantra, believed to be.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for the game tomorrow night, but I'm nervous too because it's Tom Brady, even though they're 8-9. And I do want to say thank you to everybody, even though you didn't come in to watch. You just came in to like the video and say hey and support. And I just want to say thank you for doing that too. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm learning. That is true. And I'm glad that I was able to introduce another passion of mine into the podcast.
Driven by the Mr. Kohberger, and it was seen driving past the student's home at least 4 times on the morning of the homicides. That's right. They are estimated between 3:29 a.m. and 4:04 a.m. Now, the vehicle pattern matched the estimated time of the homicide, and it was later connected to Mr. Koberger, who, as we all know, was a PhD student studying in nearby college there at Washington State University, Pullman. Well, the footage from the university showed a white Elantra leaving the campus in the direction of Moscow, Idaho, just before 3 a.m. on the night of the murders. The Elantra returned to campus around 5:25 a.m. the same morning. And near the homicide scene, there was video that was captured a white car passing by in the background as the journalists updated the public on the then developing case. The sighting came after police began investigating following the 911 call, which came in around noon. Now, the make and model of the car that's on the news footage is unclear, but it could possibly be Mr. Koberger's car. We'll have to wait and see. Now, cell phone data allegedly previously put Koberger in the area around 9 a.m. before the stabbings were reported. The data also revealed an alarming trend showing the accused Mr. Koberger killer had been in the area of the student's home at least a dozen times before the massacre, at very strange hours indeed. Now, all these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. That's according to the affidavit. Now, lawyers for the family of Kaylee Gonsalves say that suspect Brian Koberger had no connection to.
I just want to say that I love the chat going on, even though I'm not putting it up here because it's not related. I'm loving the chat and I'm reading it and I'm appreciating it because I love the passion about that too. Thank you, guys.
Any of the four students he is accused of murdering. And we're going to have to wait and see. But, we discussed yesterday, hey, everyone asked, Scott, how would you defend Mr. Koberger? So I laid it out, what I would do. Had some demonstrative aids. In fact, I brought in the K-bar. You have to watch the video to see. I brought a sheath from a K-bar. As you can see,
again,
there's the little snap on the top where somebody could certainly leave their DNA and it could be easily recovered there. Indeed. Well, go check it out.
All right, we did watch some of that stuff already. You guys, I'm loving it. Oh, I'm so excited for tomorrow night. I really am. All right, this one, let me see here. Oh, I'm nervous though too. I'm nervous for tomorrow night. Definitely. But it was an all-around sports show today, so I covered a lot of different topics, a lot of different stories. It was great. So if you know of any local channels that are in a major city near you, if you can send me all the local television stations on YouTube, and I can definitely look them up and follow them, and I can add that to not only the true crime breaking, but also the sports breaking, because the whole reason I got a lot of these sports breaking was because of the true crime following their local TV stations for true crime. I was like, holy crap. And then I just used Twitter. We were able to see live replays on Twitter, had the Gamecast from ESPN, and went through some sports clips. So it was pretty neat. So if there's any Cowboys or Bucks interviews or anything like that, go ahead and send them to me. We'll watch them during the show and during the game, and we'll chat during the game. I can't wait. I'm excited. All right, so we got inside the courthouse. I don't know if I really care to look inside that one. Yeah, Scott Reich, he's crazy. I like my homies. All right, Indiana white Hyundai Elantra traffic stop. So did he go there or something? Let's see. Because I know he's probably bored. He's in Delphi, and it's not far from Delphi, so he's probably bored. He probably went there. Let's check it out. Why not? Let's see where it's at. There's the link to the channel. I need to work on an intro video.
Jonathan Lee Rich's investigation. I am on an overpass. I
Oh, I was gonna say, damn, he's high up there. What the hell is he hanging from? Would he climb up a billboard?
70.
Oh, thank you for the updates, Phantom. And anybody else, please give them to me because I'm not watching the game now. OJ was being disorderly. Get to see RA in his too big prison jumpsuit. Guess they don't come out. You're crazy.
In Indiana. Why am I here? Let's talk about Brian Kohlberger. Let's talk about his traffic stops on December 15th, 2022. Hancock County.
Yeah, we don't really have to talk about him. I just kind of wanted to see what it was. Okay. So it's pretty flat, pretty empty, wide open. All right, what else we got here? Crime scene to courtroom. Ooh, that's a long video. Maybe we'll check out that later. Let me see. Go to chat here real quick. McField goal. He's on I-70, did he say? You must be a bit ahead of me, Phantom. I have the game. McField goals doing good job. Cincinnati 3, Baltimore 0. When we were doing the sports show earlier, I didn't even know that Lamar Jackson was out for the Ravens. I was like, oh crap, the Bengals are going to pull this out. So we might save that courthouse one for later. Let me see. Idaho Martha provides an inmate-sensitive portrait of the victims. Idaho Martha. I'm not sure what that is. Idaho Martha. We'll come back to that. Let me see. Friends of missing Massachusetts mother of Anna Walsh speak out. Let's go ahead and see what they have to say here, Fox News.
As more evidence is revealed.
SRB, I did not. He did. I watched the video a bunch and I do have my notes. We'll go over that call here in a little bit. So if anybody does want to listen to that call, take some notes, hop on, let's talk about it. Open panel is preferred because I can then share videos and documents and such. But if it's more comfortable for you to call in, it'll just be, I'm not able to show documents and videos while there's a call. So, but either way, you're more than welcome to contact the show if you'd like to talk about any kind of notes that you do have. But I do have 2 pages worth of notes, so we'll go over it. But we'll be going into that in probably about 40 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes. So I'm going to watch this video. I'm going to see if that link from Cassie works. And then if it does, we'll go to that next.
And the couple's dark past comes to light. The hopes of finding Anna alive is fading fast. So I spoke with Anna's friends, Natasha and Pamela, as their concerns grow. Watch. What do you know about Brian?
Unfortunately, not much, because every time when we would have a conversation about Brian, it would be switched to children or brushed off. So we...
What do you mean brushed off? How would the conversation go?
Literally switching the subject. So, and I said...
Cassie, it's given me a message. Couldn't preview file. There was a problem playing this video. It's the same thing that came up before, so maybe I don't have the app or something. I'm not sure, because I thought I've played TikTok videos on here before. So I'm not sure what that issue is. So I apologize about that.
Stuff. How would the conversation go?
Literally switching the subject. So, and I said, if there is anything it's okay. And she said, everything is fine.
So some of our that we've been talking to, some of her friends have said that her husband Brian had this no picture policy, I mean, it's even hard to find pictures. We want to remember her and try to get answers for her. Anything, does that surprise you? There's no picture policy?
Hard to say. She was hiding, truly. But the absence of him, I understand that even in New Year's Eve, my friend said that he would not even take personal photos for between friends, that he was missing in the photos during the New Year's Eve.
Weird.
That he would take pictures of everybody else, but not of
Wow.
himself. So there must be some reasons for it. I don't want to speculate what the reason, but it is odd.
Did Anna have the type of personality that, if
He
anything
wasn't in
perhaps
pictures.
was
He
going
just took
on,
them.
would she ever display it?
Wow.
Or was that
No.
against her personality?
That's what probably we felt, that absolutely nothing about personal. And also at the parties, she was alone. She was not with a husband. Even if she would be a sponsor.
She
of
never
her
showed up to
event
social settings with
him.
Brian.
No. That was unusual.
I have to ask you, and forgive me for asking this question, but do you believe Anna is alive, or do y'all believe Anna is dead now that you know what you know?
1 in a million chance. That's what I would answer. Not because Pamela and I know her personally, how Anna is driven and how she's independent. She would find a way to reach out to people if something would happen to her. If the person is missing for 11 days, nowadays with the social media, with the world being connected so quickly, and with the evidences that unfortunately came up, and especially with
Wow.
the police reports, every day it's unfortunately looks dim and dark.
When I just saw the post there, that, you know, the social media post missing, my stomach went upside down. I knew something was wrong.
So obviously we got to talk about the children, because the children are in Child Protective custody right now.
Yes.
You guys have spoken out about being concerned about their well-being, and you don't want them split up.
They need to be together. They need love. They need home. They need to be together. Everything what they have is frankly each other, right? And they need familiarity with the children who were interacting with them before. But we all deserve to know justice. We all deserve to know what happened to Anna, especially her children.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Wow, that was an interesting interview there. Geez, so he was taking pictures of other people, but not having pictures with him. Let's see, what the crime story... Okay, we haven't played a bed crime stories video in quite a while. I'm glad we have another one here, because I really enjoy these. This is Bed Crime Stories. We do like her channel here. Bengals intercepted. What's the score? Unfortunately, the evidence alone doesn't look like a good outcome, I know. And this guy just left a whole bunch too, right? All right, we're going to go to the Bed Crime Stories video, the Idaho 4, what the crime scene really looked like, and more. Just a quick video, 2 minutes.
In the beginning, most of us believed the two surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the first floor. Since then, we've learned Dylan was sleeping here on the second floor, along with Xana and Ethan, located here. Kaylee and Madison were located surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan. In the beginning, most of us believed the two surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the first floor. Since then, we've learned Dylan was sleeping here on the second floor, along with Xana and Ethan, located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the third floor. The dog was located on the third floor and the room by itself. Let's move around and see through the walls, into the kitchen, to the back slider, and take a look at the time frames. At 4:04 a.m., this is seen trying to park his car. At 4:09, approximately 5 minutes later, he enters the house through the back slider. At 4:18, he leaves the house after committing the crimes. At 4:20, he's caught on camera driving away at a high rate of speed. All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door. He pauses at the stairs to look around and make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door, he sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog. She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later.
And after we finish this part, I'm going to go back, get rid of the banners, get rid of the link, get rid of everything, go to full screen, and we're going to watch it again. Okay, everybody?
He then heads to Xana's room. Outside, there's a security camera picking up some whimpering, cries, and a thud at 4:17. We've learned that Xana was found on the floor, which might explain the thud. Dylan again hears something and looks outside her door. She sees the suspect. He walks right past her and leaves.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this video in chat. Give me 1 second here. Okay, give me 1 second. So let me get rid of these banners here. All right, we'll get rid of the comment. We'll get rid of that banner. All right, now we're going to go full screen. And we're going to go ahead and hit play. Give me 1 second. And then that way, I'm going to pause it at certain points because I'm going to take screenshots. You all are more than welcome to take screenshots as well. And here is the link to this video. And yeah, let's find out if there was a post or if it was just last logged in. I'm curious to find out. I'm not, it might be my computer, Cassie. I might not have the program or app or something downloaded to it. It was pretty much wiped clean. So there might be stuff I have to download. So if there's an app or something, let me know what the app is, and maybe I can download it when I'm outside the show, and then we can try it again, maybe. I'm not sure. It's probably my end, Cassie. It's just I don't have a lot of the programs. Probably most people do, just because I'm new to the game. That's all. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it at different points, and also take screenshots myself here. There's the link to the video.
In the beginning, most of us believed the two surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the first floor. Since then, we've learned Dylan was sleeping here on the second floor, along with Xana and Ethan located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the third floor. The dog was located on the third floor and the room by itself. Let's move around and see through the walls, into the kitchen, to the back slider, and take a look at the time frames. At 4:04 a.m., the suspect can be seen trying to park his car. At 4:09, approximately 5 minutes later, he enters the house through the back slider. At 4:18, he leaves the house after committing the crimes. At 4:20, he's caught on camera driving away at a high rate of speed. All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. This only took high rate of speed. All of this only took
That's why we're doing what we're doing, Kel. We're going to figure this out. Just like this call that we're going to go through in a little bit. We got to figure this out, right?
All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door.
Okay. 4:09.
He pauses at the stairs to look around to make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door, he sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens.
So she's saying that this is how her opinion in here, that he walked through the sliding glass door, stopped to see, make sure nobody was awake, then walked upstairs, and then went to the 3rd floor first. This is interesting. Let me get back to chat here. Let me see. I am a noob. Nothing wrong with a good horse. I know, Roy Williams. You remember for the Dallas Cowboys? Roy Williams is the one that started that horse collar tackle rule. I've been listening while I cook dinner, pork chops, homemade scallop potatoes, and so, ooh, yeah. And that's what we need to find out, Kel. We need to figure this out. That's why I'm taking these screenshots. We got this call we got to go through. Let's figure out this timeline. Let's see if this stuff makes sense. And I do trust bed crime stories, but, you know, we also have to do our own. This man gets... Yeah, if you have something, please send it to me, and I will be going through the other emails later in the show as well. Taunting on the Ravens. Yeah, it sounds good as hell. Of course, Kel. Why? What's going on with you? Well, we know the 404 and the 420 for sure, and the PCA, the in-between, she may be guessing. Thank you, SRB. I appreciate that. And it does sound amazing, Allison Faye. I agree with Phantom. This is so eerie. He knew right where to. Isn't that strange? Well, in the call, because I went through the call a few times again, right? And in the call, we need to find out if his Wi-Fi connected or if his Wi-Fi tried to connect. Because if it connected, then it means that he was invited to the house before. Now, according to this mom, her daughter is friends with Xana. They were in the same class together. And she said that she talked to her daughter and her daughter's friend and grilled them all through Christmas break about what they knew. And she said that Koberger told her that he had been invited to that house prior. Okay? And she also said that even though the kids think that BK is the one that committed this crime, she also feels that the knife was not his. It was the person that was in the suspect shooting that took place, the one that BK and his dad were referring to in the body cam traffic stop. And she feels that BK is just going to say, he's my friend. I just touched it. So I would like to know if there is any connection between BK and Kopaka. And I would also like to know, what's up with these, with the Wi-Fi? Did it connect, or did it try to connect? Because there's a big difference. SRB, if you are in the affidavit, if you can take a look at that real quick and see and find out what it does state, or anybody else, I would appreciate it. I would like to know that, just like everybody else. If you do have something you want to share, you can request a panel invite, and we can still share videos and screenshots and documents and articles. Or if you feel more comfortable and you'd just like to call in, you're more than welcome to at 812-250-8484. And then it'll just be a focused, just a phone call. Thank you, everybody, for coming in, and please hit the like. I really appreciate it. Do all Wi-Fi? Well, not all of them are password protected. You can choose if it has a protection on it or not for password. So, not sure. Not sure. I doubt, knowing myself that has Wi-Fi, the more passwords you share, the crappier your Wi-Fi gets. So I doubt they had it as an open Wi-Fi. I'm not going to say 100%, but just as a person who uses Wi-Fi, I'm imagining they had a password protection on it and only allowed their friends to hook up to it. About the Wi-Fi, I'll look. Yes. Thank you. TD Bengals, what's the score, Cassie? Let me know. You can also set up a guest. Right? What's up, bro? I'm new to this stuff. I just added this. All right, so now we got the little timeline and what she feels. Now he entered the bedroom, so I'm going to back up a little bit. We're going to go right back to where they came in, and then we're going to watch it some more from there.
Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door. He pauses at the stairs to look around to make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door. He sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog. She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later.
What?
He then heads to Xana's room.
All right, let's watch that part again.
Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog.
Okay, so that's when...
She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later. He then heads to Xana's room. Outside, there's a security camera picking up some whimpering, cries, and a thud at 4:17. We've learned that Xana was found on the floor, which might explain the thud. Dylan again hears something and looks outside her door. She sees the suspect. He walks right past her and leaves.
Crap, I was trying to pause it.
As more
All right, I'm going to pause it at the end there, take one more screenshot. That's an interesting rundown here. Let me see, one more screenshot. All right. That's an interesting video right there. Here, I'll put the link to it up in the channel again. It's Bed Crime Stories. I want to thank the channel for that. And Cassie, if you, since you're on TikTok, if you can do me a favor, if you can put this person's TikTok link in the channel, just also because it's there. I like to credit all sources. So if you can find this person, on TikTok, please, and post her link in the chat, I would totally appreciate that. And if you can send it to me in my email as well, and then that way I can put her TikTok in the description also. And I want to say thank you, Cassie. You give me so many links. I apologize about this last one not working. It's got to be on my end because I don't have something downloaded or something. But I just want to say thank you. All right, so let me put the banners back up. There we go. All right, we're going to go into the next video here. That is interesting. I'm keeping it, and I'm glad that I checked it out. All right, so we're going to check this out. How many X reacts to Idaho suspects online post? We can at least check this out and see what they say. I mean, we already pretty much have a good idea. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We'll get to this call here in a
Today,
little
we're
bit.
getting new and disturbing insights into the mental state of Brian Koberger, the PhD criminology student accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. The New York Times has uncovered online posts from his past that paint a picture of an isolated and depressed teenager. In one post, Koberger writes, "I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse." And in another, as I hug my family, I look into their faces. I see nothing. It is like I am looking at a video game. Koberger is currently being held on 4 counts of first-degree murder and the fatal stabbings of Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Joining us now is CNN Chief Law Enforcement Analyst John Miller and retired FBI profiler Kathy Canning Mello. She's also an instructor of criminology at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. Kathy,
Love the picture,
let me start
Josie.
with you first. How typical is it to learn that a suspected killer viewed their own life as it were a video game without emotion? I mean, when you hear about something like that, some of this starts to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I find these texts really fascinating, and they give us some really, I think, important insights as to what Brian Koberger was feeling during his teen years, where he was experiencing a dark period, right? We have him addicted to heroin at the time. He's talking about suicidal ideation. He's talking about this lack of emotion that certainly we see evidenced at the crime scene.
And John, how do you think all of these details will impact the case as investigators try to determine a motive?
Well, motive has been still the burning question here because there's still no indication that he knew any of the victims, and it is such a personal and hateful crime. And yet, as Kathy could underscore, every offender in the serial killer or mass murderer field is going to be highly individualized. Each one is different. That's a given. And yet there are common traits that run across these offenders. And one of them, and he kind of reads us through this in these emails, is an inability to feel sympathy, no relationship with empathy, an inability to feel guilt or remorse, which of course is the combination, the emotional cocktail that allows them to do the things they do and to be able to repeat those acts again if they're not stopped.
And John, this detail in the Times that the suspect became fascinated with criminal psychology, said he hoped to provide counseling for high-profile criminals. I mean, that's a wrinkle that you don't see in many of these types of cases. At least that I'm aware of.
Jim,
Yeah.
This is highly unusual, but it's also, in this case, there are so many things that really beg to be dug into more. If you look at the posting he did, part of his master's project, asking criminals to come in and be interviewed with him as the coordinator about the psychological traits of decision-making during their crimes. What were you thinking when you did this violent act? How did it make you feel? What was your plan? What, if anything, did you leave behind? On one hand, you could say that was a study, although the structure is very non-academic. On the other hand, you could say that this was, as Mary Ellen O'Toole posited last night, this was an act of voyeurism, meaning these interviews would allow him to immerse himself in feelings that he was having by experiencing them through others.
That is disturbing. And Kathy, the New York Times says that one of Koberger's friends told them, or told this individual, he suffered from a neurological condition called visual snow, where people see scattered dots like static on a TV. And one of the posts says, and I'm reading here, it is.
And when it comes to these posts that we read through a week and a half, or actually 2 weeks ago today, it was a midday stream. We did hear a phone call where I think it was Chronicles of Olivia interviewed one of his friends, and his friend even talked about how he had those conditions. So it was pretty much confirmed to us that those posts were in fact him, because one of his best friends that he was no longer friends with, brought it up in a conversation about the visual snow and how he had those effects and those symptoms and such. So interesting read through, and interesting interview from Chronicles of Olivia, another great channel here on YouTube.
As if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all the demons in my head mocking me. It doesn't sound good.
No, it sounds very disturbing, but we're going to have, I think, more deep interviews of people who know Brian well in order to understand that condition that he had and any impact it might have had on his behavior at the time or later in life. And if the condition still exists, we don't know that. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon prosecutors, investigators, and it's great now that they have a few more months to do that, to conduct these long behaviorally oriented interviews. When I was in the BAU, we had an instrument called the General Assessment Questionnaire that had 100 questions that probed into areas of an individual's life, their personality traits, their hobbies, their attitudes, and it was meaning to get more insight about their behaviors, because we have some, casual contacts that said, he's charming. Well, do we really know he's charming? Does he lack empathy? Is he cunning and manipulative? Is he controlling? Does he harbor misogynistic feelings? All of these things are going to be evident in people that know him well. Certainly, we're getting some indications of his personality through his online persona, but we need to understand him offline as well, because at some point the prosecutor is going to have to paint a picture of this individual to a jury, and they're going to have to make some connections in their head. Is this the kind of person, number one, physically capable, but number two, psychologically, emotionally capable of committing such heinous crimes?
And John Koberger has maintained his innocence through his lawyer. But I mean, given what we've discussed so far, there is a decent amount of evidence that police have, that investigators have in this case, do they not?
That is true. And I mean, we're going by the American standard, which is he is innocent until proven guilty. But when you look at the probable cause document, you can certainly see, based on the evidence.
Josie, I would like to know what you think. We're going to be getting into that call next. I wrote down 2 pages of notes that we can go over, okay? I would like to know what you and everybody else think. If anybody else did take notes and did listen to the call a few times and has some things they'd like to discuss, please hop up. I would love to hear what your thoughts and views are. And if you would like to do an open panel, we can share the call at the same time, talk about it at the same time. But if you feel more comfortable just using the phone call, you're more than welcome to do that. Unfortunately, we won't be able to share documents and such, but we can hear what you do want to say, and that way you're comfortable as well. Yeah, please go ahead and post it, Cass. I tried opening it and it won't work. It won't load for me. So if you can do me a favor and just post her channel link in the chat, I'd appreciate it. That way everybody else also has the opportunity to have her source as well.
Evidence that they put forward, why he's charged in this case. And you can certainly see, and this is something that people really haven't focused on, is authorities in Pennsylvania that helped put together the arrest warrant and execute the arrest are now going very carefully backwards through Kohlberger's entire history, from the time those emails were written as an adolescent right up to the time he left to go to the Washington, Idaho area, because there is an overarching theory that a multiple murder of 4 people in the middle of the night is probably not an offender's first act of violence. They're looking at unsolved cases. They're going to use that DNA to compare them to samples they have. They're looking for any stalking behavior. They're really kind of going backwards to say, was there something we missed here?
Right, especially when you go through some of the things that he said about himself. I mean, that is...
That's a good video right there. Thank you, ATS. How you doing this evening? Yeah, and there's the TikTok for the link of the bed crime stories video that we watched if you wanted that rundown yourself. I also took some screenshots of the video. So yeah, definitely there's the real source for the video. Cassie, thank you for posting that in the chat. That's the link to the real source for this what the crime scene really looked like. Very interesting view and version of how she thinks the crime took place. So I definitely if you do have TikTok, I definitely check it out and see what you think as well. All right, so let me see here. Josie, you sent something to Twitter. Let me go ahead and post ATS's link up in chat. Thank you for hopping in, ATS. I appreciate it. Tapper Jean Girl on TikTok. Why did it show up as Jet or whatever, however it was pronounced? I wonder why it showed up as the All right, let me see here. So let me go to this call and let me get the call ready, and then yeah, because we're already through the last day's videos. All right, and I do want to watch this sometime. We're going to get to it early next week, this law and crime serial killer where she talks BTK. Okay, where is this video? There it is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the link to this video again in the chat. I'm going to get my notes out. Yeah, that is weird. Yes, that is something I wrote down, Josie. The required to do, all right, so that's what you sent me. Okay, I'm going to go to TikTok here. I just got the video ready. Let me go to TikTok. Twitter. So many fucking apps. Thank you for the update, Phantom. I'm thinking Cincinnati's going to pull it out, especially with Lamar Jackson being on the bench. All right, so let's go to my Twitter here. Thank you again, Josie, for the information. Okay. So I'm passing along. I got a couple different things here. Okay, first one. I'm passing along, caught your cast on replay this morning. That woman caller brought up some interesting angles. Here's a bizarre and probably fake Facebook post claiming they're a relative of BK. So we're going to go into this here real quick. Thank you for this, Josie. Just one moment here. Let me see here. Okay. It says, I'm posting anonymously because Brian is my family and you people in this group act like vultures and rabid raccoons. Brian is innocent, and you will see he has been framed by his drug partner friend, the security guard from the university. All right, let me write that down. See if that is relevant to any of these other notes. Okay, they were doing drugs together in the parking lot as they had done numerous times, but when security guard started acting like a peeping Tom outside the girl's window, Brian left security guard and drove back to his apartment. The reason the phone was off is because battery was flat. What? The reason the phone was off is because the battery was flat and security guard was using the car charger. Brian put his phone on charge when he left the parking lot and he switched the parking lot and he switched it back on when he was near to his apartment because that's how long it took to get a charge going. Brian's knife was in the car and security guard was holding it because he used it to chop the cocaine lines. Yes, I said cocaine because Brian stopped H years back and substituted the drug with the C. He has tried so hard to stop everything, but he's an addict and he has bad migraines, so the C actually helps him. He had no idea security guard was going to do what he did and just wanted to teach security guard a lesson by leaving him behind. Brian actually feels terrible that he left this maniac behind, but it's not his fault. You people need to stop these singing videos and funny pictures of BK and my dad, or we will sue you for everything you have. All you just get a life and stop playing Facebook detectives because you are just a bunch of bored losers that have no morals. Whoa, let me go to chat. Yeah, that's new, right? Let me go to the top here and see what you guys think. Okay, that's all I sent on. Most of her comments were speculation, and I can't fact check hearsay. Right on. Late info, but was Steve G's statement about the Wi-Fi, and he says touching into their Wi-Fi. Now make what you will of that. Touching into their Wi-Fi. What does that mean? I wonder what that means. That's a good question. Thank you, Kib Kitty. For the record, probably fake, but was so weird. It is weird. And you know what? Honestly, there's other stuff that was crazy, outlandish, and we thought it was fake. Then it was like, holy crap, this ended up being real. You know? Inside looking. I figured SRB weird stuff always catches my eye. Josie, I'll tell you, this one had me going until she says me and my dad at the end. I was like, well, now, wait a minute. I thought chopping. Yeah, that is odd too, isn't it? Yeah, unless it's like for show or something, like somebody's trying to pretend they're a badass. That's the only The cop course requirement info is under that on Twitter. All right, but they wanted to stay anonymous, right? I'm not finding what was stated, but I don't know enough about Wi-Fi to quite determine what Steve means. Well, maybe we'll be able to check later on in the show here. That had to be what happened to the credit card, right? Right? Or the lighter? Spouse said maybe means hacked into. Interesting. All right, so let me go back to this real quick just so I can respect. Let me see what this next one is here. Also, I was hung up on the caller's statement that a requirement for the PhD program was to work with LE, right? Because during that, she said the PhD students have to do a year at TA or something to that effect, and then 1 year at Pullman PD, and that it was a requirement. So thank you for looking this up. I appreciate it. That was stated around the middle to the end of the phone call that we watched last night. So I looked on the WSU site and found that a TA is a requirement. Okay, so I did get that right. TA is a requirement. No law enforcement work is required. So this is the document that I was sent. Thank you again, Josie. Give me 1 second. If you would like to have this document as well, here's the link to this. Excuse me. So this basically shows all the curriculum, the credits, the names of the courses. Electives. Okay. So the bottom of the page, serving as teacher's assistant. Bottom of the page. Whoops. Come on, StreamYard. Bottom of the page, serving as a teaching assistant in the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology, satisfies this teaching requirement. Collecting original data also fulfills this requirement. There is a research assistantship, but it isn't required nor requires anything to do with the Pullman Police Department. That info can be found at this link. And right on with the information and the links, Josie. I appreciate it so much. Here's the link for this article, or this part of the website. And this also shows all of this information that was just noted. Thank you very much for those. I appreciate it. Thank you, Cherry. Yes, definitely save those links for yourself and check it out on your own time as well. Thank you for the fact checking, for the information, Josie. I really appreciate it. Amazing links. Okay. Now I'm going to check the break-in real quick just to see if we're missing anything, and then we'll go into this phone call and the notes that I have. If you'd like to call in or have an open panel invite regarding this call and your viewpoint and what you feel about it, we can go ahead and talk about it before we even start checking it out, or we can check it out together. I'm just checking the break-in here. Okay, let me see here. This is a part 2. All right, we have a part 2 up now, okay? Give me 1 second. That just came out a half hour ago. So we're going to switch it up. Let's keep the notes, okay? Let's do this. Tomorrow night, I got Dallas Cowboy, Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. So Tuesday night, what we're gonna do tonight? We're gonna check out this this part 2. We're gonna take some notes. If you'd like to take some notes, please do. I'm gonna be taking them at the same time. We are gonna pause it and talk about it and have the brain stew as well. And then on Tuesday night, let's talk about part 1 and part 2 for the whole show. All right? Because tomorrow night I got Monday Night Football from 7 through the evening. And so we're going to be doing a sports podcast tomorrow night. So we got call 1. We checked it out. If you want to check it out on the stream and get the brain stew from the show, I suggest you go back, watch the stream from last night. This one's going to have part 2. Let's go through part 1 and part 2 on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central. All right, we're going to switch this up. We're going to go to this part 2. I'll put the link in the chat to the video. I'm going to go
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show.
And also credit the channel as well. So here's the link to the video. Ooh, I'm excited for this. Here's the link to the video. I got 2 pages of notes for call 1. I'm ready to make some for call 2. All right, Drunk Turkey Show. I'm going to go ahead and throw the link up into the chat. And I want to thank them for putting this out there on YouTube and allowing us to go over it as well.
Hey,
and have our brain stew. So I'm going to go ahead and like the video real quick. Please like this video as well. We're going to go into theater mode. There is no closed captioning, okay? We can probably get it on the next go round. So again, part 2 tonight. Tampa Bay, Dallas, Monday Night Football tomorrow night. Let's go through part 1 and part 2 on Tuesday night. Let's do this.
everybody, welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm your host, Daniel J, and alongside with me, as always, is Big Blue and Jaime. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who is subscribed to the show, like the channel. We just hit 18,000 subscribers. Thank you.
That's crazy.
Congratulations.
Man. Like 586 subs, and they're talking to getting close to 1,000.
Applause.
Yeah, that was our goal early on, and
I'm happy.
Surpassed that.
I'm happy for any content creator that's able to celebrate that stuff for real. We should all be joyous and appreciative. I wish I could have a little applause for these people because I appreciate them coming out with this call. I appreciate the person that called in. I appreciate them putting this information out. And I appreciate all of you being in here so we can go over this stuff. And thank you again, Josie, for those links, because that was one of the things I wrote down we needed to check out was, in fact, is that part of the requirements? And one of them is, and one of them isn't. Thank you so much.
Long way, and it's all because of you guys that watch and comment. We appreciate you.
And
So,
thank you again.
so we had a call come in the other day. We released that call, and a lot of questions and concerns have come out of it. Now, the person that called us in stated that she was, had a daughter and a son that attended WSU, and that they had friends and a roommate that were close to the situation. Now, all we released yesterday was the phone call that came in. There was certain validation that needed to be done in order for us to, one, to even put that video out, and two, to make a second video out. And we were able to do so. I also want to comment on the fact that I did speed up.
Okay, so it is nice to know that they did their own vetting of the information before they put the video out. So I do appreciate that too.
Released yesterday.
And they didn't say any point that she was wrong. They just did their own information before they put it out. So a lot of it probably, with their vetting is just certain parts like the requirement, but it's nice to know.
It was the phone call that came in. There was certain validation that needed to be done in order for us to, one, to even put that video out, and two, to make a second video out. And we were able to do so. I also want to comment on the fact that I did speed up her audio. I sped up everybody's audio in her the entire call, just so that it was a little bit quicker. I apologize. It was too fast. She wasn't on anything. I saw the comments. It was sped up. I did put it in the comment section, and I'll put it in again, the timestamp and the show that was the original call was on. But she called us. Her name was Kim, and she had called a couple of times, so I called her back. She was from Washington State, and her last name looked familiar as far as I believe I had seen it come up in this case before. So that was the main reason why I wanted to call her back. I noticed the proximity of where she was calling from and then the last name. Now, what she had told me was that she had two students or children that were students at WSU. One was in law, one was taking a different major, and that the daughter, one was a son, one was a daughter. The daughter had a roommate whose boyfriend is a, I don't want to say star athlete, but he is an athlete within one of the programs at the University of Idaho. I'm not going to put any names or anything like that because the fact that some of these people still attend this school, and I don't want anybody going and attacking them for whatever comes forward. And so what I was able to do and find was I was able to locate that athlete's social media page, trace who his girlfriend was, and trace who her friends were, and it all came back, it all aligned. They are roommates.
Wow.
The girlfriend and the boyfriend.
Okay.
And everything checked out on that aspect. And so
I appreciate them kind of going through some of the stuff that they vetted. I appreciate that.
On the weekend of November 13th.
And I apologize, I don't remember who turned me on to this channel, but I do want to say thank you because we did use a couple videos from theirs in the past, and they were great videos, great links. I apologize. You know who you are, so just say it was you in chat, please, if you're in the chat. And I just want to say thank you because it's because of you I come across a lot of these links. A lot of people is because I come across the links that I do and the channels that I do and the channels that I keep using. So I really appreciate it.
This is the weekend of the incident. Kim and her husband were out in Pullman, Washington, because it was WSU's parent weekend, right? And so they were actually there at the in the city there. The following day, on the 13th, they end up getting a notice of stay in shelter around 5 p.m. Kim stated she called her daughter, and her daughter told her that she was aware of the situation and that she had gotten information about the situation as early as 10 a.m. that morning. That is approximately 2 hours prior to
Yeah, and that's what the mom that called in part one stated a couple times in the call in part one, was that her daughter knew about it at 10 a.m. Stated it a few times. And I thought that was interesting. That was part of my notes as well. I'm glad I appreciate this.
911 phone call.
And I appreciate you for all hanging out with me. And thank you for your work as well. Seriously. I can't wait to go into it Tuesday night with part one and part two. That's all we're going to be talking about that night.
All that had gone out. What she had stated was that her daughter lived or is part of Greek Row, and that her roommate, because of her association with her boyfriend, who is an athlete at the University of Idaho, was familiar with.
And 100, Josie, that's how I feel. It's from a 57-year-old mother that has two students, one that used to go to WSU that's transferring to ASU, and one, which is her daughter, that's a senior, and she's staying there. And it was her speculation, her experience, her talk with her daughter and her friend. You know, it was from her point of view, not that she was supposed to be there or even knew what took place or anything. So no, nobody thinks that anybody that, you know, that everything she said was wrong. I don't. All I'm saying is, you know, like we were saying last night, and I was saying to chat, is just the source. We're not saying the source is correct. We're saying the source is a 57-year-old mother with two students in the community that is, so it's all good. What's up, Silky? Thank you for hopping in.
With not just
Yeah, we'll be
Greek
slowing it down.
and Greek,
I'll be slowing it down once we get to that spot.
or as part of Greek Row, and that her roommate, because of her association with her boyfriend, who is an athlete at the University of Idaho, was familiar with not just Greek and Greek Row in Moscow, Idaho, but with the victims of the house. She also stated that this guy was associated and at least an acquaintance of Jack and Adam. And so that's how close this conversation was. And so apparently at about 10 a.m., they got word of a quadruple homicide that occurred at that residence. Now, this is a small town. This is rural Idaho. It's not Baltimore, where there's a lot of people around and a bunch of, the community is large. This is a small community. I can almost assure you, because we come from a community probably roughly the same size, that news travels fast and sometimes faster than what comes to the police.
Yeah,
now, Steve Goncalves and their family had a report, or not a report. They came out on a podcast here recently. Can't remember, it's Olivia. I apologize, Olivia. Where they told them that residents of the city of, or students of Moscow or University of Idaho had contacted them to let them know that there was a situation well before the police did, and that they were aware and calling in, etc. So apparently, in the wee early morning hours of November 13th, according to Kim, calls started going out from the surviving roommates to Pi Beta Phi. I'm sorry if I wrote that up.
Close enough.
Yeah. I apologize. We don't we didn't attend any universities too. This Greek stuff's a little bit new to me. So Pi Beta Phi, who was I believe Maddie's and I think one of the roommates sorority that they were associated with, that they got a call from the house, and those were the individuals that were summoned to the home for somebody that was unconscious on the second floor. According to Kim, this was a house that was known.
I just want to pause it real quick. I don't know why you feel like an outsider. We've never been that type of show where anybody should feel that way. And I'm sorry with whatever took place that made you feel that way. We've always been a podcast where we explore all angles, all opportunities, all views, all opinions. That's why we have the brain stew. Yeah, I'll be slowing the audio down. When we get to her part. I'm just kind of I'm just playing this at normal speed. That way they can kind of talk and go through all their vetting and stuff. And just to hear their vetting, because I do appreciate it. It's a lot of questions I already wrote down. And so I'm kind of glad that they're going through it. But once we get to the part where she's talking, I'm definitely going to slow it down, because even in part one, it was really hard to understand with it at normal speed. And it's always a good thing to question things. That's what we're here for. The brain stew. Catch what happened to Apple. Apple, what do you mean? I don't know what. I don't want you to feel that way. We've never been that way with anybody. I don't want anybody to feel that way, and so I apologize if anybody does, or whatever took place, or just let us know. Okay, Kitty, thank you for hanging out. Yeah, your comedy. All right, let me rewind it just a little bit, and we'll go back to their vetting here. I do appreciate this.
I believe Maddie's and I think one of the roommates sorority that they were associated with, that they got a call from the house, and those were the individuals that were called, summoned to the home for somebody that was unconscious on the second floor. According to Kim, this was a house that was known as a drug house, a place where you can go pick up drugs, specifically in Molly.
So they were talking
And,
about a trap
that
house in Molly.
This was common knowledge. This wasn't something that was found out after the fact by her daughter. Her daughter stated that she was aware of that house being a party house, that house being a house where you can score some Molly or whatnot.
Wow.
And
wow.
And a house that was well known.
Wow.
Now, one thing I'll say about this house
Okay.
is that there was a lot of turnover there.
Ooh, a lot of turnover.
There was a lot of students that were moving in and out. Kaylee and Madison, I'm not entirely sure how long they were living in that house, but from my understanding, I think this was their first semester there.
Huh.
I could be wrong, but you can correct me. Yeah, I know you guys will in the comment section.
Wow.
Correct me if I am. But, you know, there was a lot of turnover. There was a report earlier of a guy who lived in that same house that stated how you can hear things throughout the house.
Right, I remember
he
that.
He recently had lived there, and so
okay.
Early on in this
that's true.
investigation, the police came out saying that this was a targeted situation, that they weren't sure if this targeted was the people inside the house or the house itself.
Huh, that's right.
And if
now everything he's saying is true, a lot of that stuff did come out in the beginning.
that house at one point, maybe it's not, again, you know, currently or wasn't currently used as a house where you can score some drugs. At one point it apparently was.
Wow. So it used to be.
Does this all make sense?
So, and there was a high turnover. So interesting. Huh.
Sense to you guys so far?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's
wow.
That makes sense.
All right. So according to Kim and her daughter, the sorority girls got a phone call early in the morning, and that's kind of when the rumors started, because they showed up that there was an incident and that there was a situation there, and that's how it kind of spread out throughout town. Apparently, the roommates had called, and this is speculation on their part as well, to clean up, maybe perhaps take out some of the narcotics that were in the house out before the cops were called. Is that what you guys gathered from her?
Yeah. I felt like that's exactly what she was saying. That they went up there to, they were called to pretty much get rid of all the illegal substances.
Yeah.
That's the theory that that's why they took so long to call for help.
Right. Now, also, everybody, the Kim had reported all this to the FBI. This is not something that is not known to the FBI. She, in fact, told us that there is a Idaho State Police officer assigned to themselves for their accounts and what they had said. And so, according to Pam's daughter and what she gathered from her roommate, who was pretty close to the situation, that both surviving roommates had seen 3 people outside the house at one point, and they described one person as a creepy person, as a creepy guy. That creepy guy is who ended up making entry into the house. Now, they were only aware of one person being visually seen inside the house, but again, this is speculation. Speculate that there was more than one person that went in. It may have been 2 as one waited outside, which kind of makes a little bit of sense if there was more than one person. Reason being is, if we were to pull up the map here, initially the first time that Brian is spotted on camera, or allegedly spotted on camera, is at 3:26 a.m. traveling westbound on the 700 block of Indian Hills. This is west of the neighborhood in which the victims had resided in. I was curious as to why he would be going this direction so far out. He was seen going southbound and in and around Pullman around 247. Had he left and gone directly to this house here or this neighborhood, he should have gotten there probably around 310, 305, somewhere around there. And so there's about a 15-20 minute window there that's unaccounted for. We questioned as to why he would be in this neighborhood. Perhaps he was picking somebody up that lived in this neighborhood. A lot of you guys in the comment section stated that if you're up here on this part of the street here, you have a pretty good view of the police department, which you do right up here. Now, maybe perhaps that he came, stopped, wanted to see the activity that was coming out from the police department before he made his way out there. That's quite possible. I just find it odd as far as the time goes, because at 3:26 he's here. At 3:28, 2 minutes later, he's seen traveling across the highway on Steiner towards the residence. And so he went from this address directly, and at 3:29 he spotted in front of the home. So he went from this address directly to the house out of this neighborhood. Now, does that give you enough time to stop, take a view of the police department?
Okay. I believe that he is saying that she was telling him this information, and then this is what they did on their own for their vetting of what she was saying. This is how I'm taking it. Just like the first episode that we watched last night, this is part 2, Detective One. You're just hopping in. This is the part 2 of the call that we watched, to part 1 from last night. So we got a whole bunch of notes from part 1 that we watched last night. This one, definitely going to have to watch it a bunch of times, again and again and again. I'm going to take extensive notes again as well. And then on Tuesday night show at 7 o'clock Central, we're going to be going into the part 1 notes and the part 2 notes, and that's going to be the whole show. We're going to have both calls. We're going to go through both sets of notes that I have. And then if anybody would like to, let me know. Josie, again, thank you so much for the information that you gave about the other stuff we looked into before this call. And if anybody else would like to send information for the Tuesday night show, we'll go ahead and go over it. We're definitely going to go through these 2 calls because this stuff is very, 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 very interesting. Very interesting. And there's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of stuff. And I would love to just spend a whole evening with you guys Tuesday night and us just going through all of this stuff. And I want to say thank you to the Drunk Turkey Show for offering this content and allowing us to be able to do this and allowing us to be able to have our brains too. Thank you guys so much for being in here tonight. If you're missing part 1, please go back to last night's show, watch part 1, watch part 2. Links are in the chat. I'll go ahead and throw the link to this video again in the chat so you can have it. I know there's some other new people coming in here, so you can go ahead and save it for yourself. And then let's go over this Tuesday night. And if you're down with Monday Night Football, or if you just want to hang out tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing a Monday Night Football Cowboys Buccaneers podcast stream starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow, Central. Ooh, I'm nervous and I'm excited. I can't wait. All right, we're going to go back to this video. Thank you, everybody, for being in here.
Understand what's going on, know what's happening. Now, the other thing that I could possibly think of is maybe perhaps 3 o'clock, 3:30 is shift change. Maybe he's wanting to see if all the police officers are back in. Knows he's probably got about a 20-minute window to do something. Because that's roughly about the time that that shift change would take. Now, that's if their shift changes like at 4 in the morning, 3:30. Who knows? But he's coming in from this direction versus, Washington coming in from this direction. Perhaps he dropped somebody off. The other thing is he was pinged at 4:48, about 10 minutes south of Moscow. So had he left here at 4:20 as indicated, as he was seen on Willensa Drive at a high rate of speed, he should have been around here around maybe 4:35. And so there's about a 13-minute window in which he's not seen. Now, perhaps maybe he was dropping somebody back off in this direction. Speculation, that's not what she said. That's just kind of what we were coming up with based on the questions that we had from the probable cause affidavit as far as where this was located.
Yeah.
So she stated that They saw a creepy guy. The creepy guy went in, was in the house. The surviving roommates saw the creepy guy in the house, which all coordinates with
And if anybody can give me some advice, how should I tag this call in the description of the part 1 and the part 2? So that way you guys can go to those videos if you need to. How should I even tag it?
the information that came out on the probable cause affidavit. Apparently they were aware of this during, within a couple of days of this incident occurring. And so this leads me to believe that at least some of this information that they got was accurate. Now, I explained to her, just like I'm going to explain here, that when you have a story that's passed from one person to another, sometimes it has a tendency of that story getting bigger and bigger and more exaggerated. So there's a possibility a lot of the information that she had given us was exaggerated. However, there was a lot of truth in there, and a lot of things that we had heard before, such as the possibility of drugs being involved. And, they knew and were aware that there was somebody inside the house we're seeing before anybody else was aware of this. Do y'all have questions about that? Did I cover that up correctly?
Yeah. But when you said about the stories going hand to hand, it's like the fish story, right?
Yeah.
It starts off this the fish, and then before you know it's 20 pounds. It just, you know what I'm saying? So like, if it'll be a different story, like I said before, if we were hearing it from the person that actually witnessed it, it'll be a different story. But yeah, we gotta just at this point just take it as speculation.
Yeah, we can take it to speculation till the hearings start, and I wonder if
And that's all this is, because we're not LE. We're not involved in the cases like that, and this is all speculation. I don't know why we always have to say it, but we do. Because everybody should know automatically when they come into YouTube that that's what this is. It's our own opinions. And I love it. It's that brain stew. It smells so good.
defense and prosecutors are going to call the roommates up to hear the truth.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing about the probable cause affidavit is it really doesn't go into what Bethany's statements are. All it talks about is Dylan's statement. And the only statement that it says about Bethany is that that she was home and that the roommates were home and in their rooms by 4 a.m. That's basically the extent of what she had stated. As far as what they released, I'm sure there's more to it. Now, what she had stated was that Dylan had seen 3 people outside from the first floor and that she locked her room. If you remember, the probable cause affidavit had mentioned something about that she originally was in her second bedroom or on the second floor bedroom. We had questioned why the term originally was there. Like I said, some of this could be exaggerated in little bits and pieces, misconstrued. I had a conversation with this lady for 2 hours the night of the phone call, and then we had another hour conversation. And basically all we were trying to get is what we know or not know, but what we can figure what was told to her.
Wow, 3-hour conversation.
Not things that puzzle pieces were trying to be put together.
So they're only playing partial?
And so she stated that when the probable cause affidavit came out and that Dylan was on the...
I thank them so much for doing this. Seriously. I really appreciate they did this.
Second floor, they questioned their daughter, who then called her friend in front of her and asked her about it being different. And they didn't have an explanation for it. They said that's not the story that we were told. But again, some minor facts can be changed. Now, do you guys, am I missing anything, Hyman and Blue, before we move on to the son's comments?
No, man, I'm. It just seems like, if this is the case that this house was targeted, maybe not the residents inside the house. If that's the case, Ethan wasn't, living there. It was just, just bad luck on his side, right? If there was Ethan, if he was awake and let's say Brian or whatever, right? He saw Brian. I think if he was awake, he would have a lot more defensive wounds on him. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a much better chance of defending him off than maybe a smaller person.
Right. Yeah, because this guy Brian doesn't look like he's a big guy. Even the description from what Dylan put out there, he seemed like 5'10", 185 pounds, average size. And so I believe Ethan was a much taller guy. She didn't say whether or not anybody was awake during the time, but we can, one thing that she did mention, and we'll kind of go into it right now, is that she has a son, WSU, who was, pre-law and was taking law classes. And his classroom is actually right next to the classroom that Brian was a TA at, a teacher's assistant. And so they have a family friend who is in Brian's class. Now, we asked her, like, hey, did your son see him? Make any contact with him? And she said, no, not really. He had seen him, but really never made contact with him, didn't talk to him or any of those things, but then stated that her friend, their family friend, who's also a friend of her son's, is somebody that does attend his class. And, she said a lot of the same stuff that she told them, that he, was difficult when it came to grading, kind of a hard ass, so to speak. And then that after the situation, everybody was getting A's, things like that. So it wasn't anything too far different. However, we asked her, like, hey, did he have any marks on it? Did he have any bruising, scratches, anything that would indicate him that he was possibly involved in an altercation? And she said, no, that they basically, that this student stated that there was no sign of anything as far as scratches, marks, bruising, any of those things on him from what they could tell. He also had a physical done a few days after the incident, right? Where he went to a doctor, had his routine physical. If he was a second person in there, and Dylan did not describe him full of, she said she saw a dark figure with a mask. She didn't say that she saw somebody full of blood or any of those type of things. Is it possible that she saw Brian, but Brian perhaps was the second person in there and maybe not the person actually committing the assaults, but was there watching, documenting, doing, trying to understand the commissioning of a crime as from a close point of view? What do you guys think?
It's plausible because, like, at the affidavit, she noticed that he had black clothing, mask, right, to cover his nose and mouth.
Right, that's all it was described as.
But she didn't notice a knife. She didn't notice the blood. You wouldn't be able to notice blood that much with black clothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that is, you have to really look at it. But
yeah, when it's on black clothing, you can sometimes see it, but it looks more like black, like something smeared on it. But then look like blood, right away.
Yeah, so that could be possible that he was in there just maybe checking it out. Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I mean the caller has no doubt that Brian was involved, and it kind of answers some questions if somebody else was involved with him, along with him. He made the statement about, did they arrest anybody else? In the recent documents that were released, they were asking about any co-defendants, things of that nature. She did state that there was a change in the story between the roommate of the daughter and the boyfriend. They stated that on the night of the incident, she dropped her daughter off at her off-campus sorority house, and that the roommate wasn't there. The daughter then later told her that the roommate and the roommate's boyfriend were both there, and then that I guess a week later or whatever, the statement changed that the roommate, the boyfriend of the roommate wasn't there, right? And so she dropped him off. She just kind of rephrase that again. Mom dropped off daughter at her off-campus house. She knew the roommate. She'd been friends with the roommate, and I'm talking about the mom. And stated that when they go into town, they usually talk to her, whatever. She wasn't, to their knowledge, wasn't there. After the incident, her daughter had told her that both the roommate and the roommate's boyfriend were at her house and they spent the night there. It was later found out afterwards that the boyfriend's roommate wasn't there and he was back in Moscow at the time, possibly with JD. It's possibly back. And that mom, Kim, called the FBI and the police and let them know that, hey, my daughter's story has changed. She said first initially that the roommate and the boyfriend were there, and now she's saying she's not aware if the boyfriend was there. He could be back home. And they felt a little bit, I don't want to say suspicious of the boyfriend, but they didn't feel she didn't feel comfortable that his story had changed and that he knows apparently the sorority girls that were called to the house that morning, right? And so she called the police with that information, and the police told her that a lot of stories had been changed and that there was a lot of lies that were going on and that they weren't surprised by that. If this place, and she had accused this place of being a possible place where you could score some narcotics. She mentioned a couple of other places that were both in Washington and in Moscow and Pullman, Washington, that were associated with possible narcotic activity. And so, you know, I thought I should bring that aspect up as well. But for the most part, just to kind of wrap everything up, the information that she was able to obtain was that they saw somebody in the house before anybody else knew that they had saw somebody in the house. Mm-hmm. She stated that the sorority girls from Pi Beta Phi are the ones who were called that morning to go over. Whatever it is that they were supposed to have gone and cleaned up or done is why they were called. And that her daughter was aware of the situation before the 911 call was called in, possibly because the sorority girls started to send text messages, make phone calls, things of that nature. Rumors starting to spread, which honestly drives more questions for me, that so much of the students and people close to the situation or close to the victims knew about the incident before the 911 call was made. I think that's kind of concerning. She stated that there was multiple people outside of the house before the incident, and that it's possible at least 2 people made entry into that house. She stated that that her son and her son's friend, or their friend, who attend WSU in the law program, one of them was a student under Brian, and that he didn't have any visible marks shortly after the incident. Am I missing anything else?
No.
And so
I know everybody, like, I'm gonna have to seriously, before the show I dedicated an hour and a half and I sat there and I listened to it 3 times and I took so many notes, and I'm gonna do it for this one because it's a 37-minute video. We haven't even got to the call yet, right? So I'm sure there's gonna be please, if you have the availability to as well, please take notes, please, and let's chat about it Tuesday night. We don't even have to go through the calls, you know what I'm saying? I could have an open panel. I can open up the phone lines. We can sit here and we can just discuss our notes. We can just discuss our notes Tuesday night, what we found out, what's true, what's not, just all of this information. You know what I'm saying? So Tuesday night, we don't even have to play the calls. We could literally just have an open panel, uh, or phone calls if that's more comfortable. And we could definitely just sit there and chat about all of our notes because this is so interesting. I feel it can be crucial. Okay. And I feel like all this stuff, we all have to, we owe it. We owe it to the families. We owe it because we have touched on this case for quite a long time, and all the effort and dedication and sacrifice that we've put towards, even our brain stew, just putting our brain stew towards this, for something like this to come out, we owe it. But that's gamer. So I definitely understand your confusion, chat, because trust me, I am confused as well. And my confusion is confirmed. Yeah, so please take notes if you're available, and let's chat about it Tuesday. He sold. So it's fairly direct. Oh my gosh, please, yes, everybody, please have some notes. Let's chat about it Tuesday. And I'm definitely going to be going over it too, probably before the sports podcast tomorrow night. I'm probably going to be going through this call again, taking notes. I'll be listening to it while I'm at work. It's going to be played a bunch. This channel is going to get a ton of views just from me alone, just from listening, and then when I get home, taking notes, stuff that I thought about throughout the day as I'm listening to it at work. Yeah, please. I'd love to it'd be so cool to just have an open panel or phone calls that night, Tuesday, just talking about all of our notes. Let's cross off together. Let's circle stuff together. Let's write stuff down together. It's going to be a beautiful thing. It's a new platform of Brain Stew, is the way I'm looking at it. Like, we've all just kind of sit and chat. Let's get some notes together. Let's talk about it. Let's circle stuff, cross stuff out, and write some new stuff down together. It's amazing.
I think this is stunning and new details because, one, nobody knows who was called that morning. Two, Brian has been kind of throwing it out there that there's a possible second person involved. And, we get an understanding of what was going on throughout the students there. When you have a close-knit community like students from a particular college or university, that information is going to be spread like wildfire. The smaller the town, the faster the news travels.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you guys need the links to the videos here, because I'm posting them pretty often here. Here you go, Juan, if you need this, and then if you need to get the second or the first one, just so I can keep playing it for everybody else here in chat. For the first one, you can just pull it off that link there.
It's just the way things are. Like I said before, this is in Baltimore. It's not a big place where, and even at that, me and Blue currently live in a city that has probably close to 2 million people. And within that area, the city is broken up to what we feel like are small little towns. And so, within those small communities, news will travel fast. It may not travel from one end to the other end very quickly, but within that small community, it does. But do you guys have any last comments about this before we put a bow on it?
When it comes down to the fact that people already knew what was going on even before they called 911, it just shows that something is a little suspicious about them, man. Something's wrong on that aspect. You know what I mean? If it was someone else.
Yeah, if anybody misses a link to the videos that I show on the podcast, just go ahead and request it in chat, and I'll definitely throw it up there again for sure.
They found that, they will call right off the bat. They wouldn't wait hours on end.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. She they were scared and frozen, but still were able to make phone calls to somebody. You know, so the capability and the culpability there to make a phone call was present. Before we go, Blue, question for you. You know, if this occurred at 4 a.m, all that news hours later, your medical field experience, what would have happened to those bodies? I understand that there's rigor mortis, things like that would have occurred in this time, but what about any, would the smell start to kick in? What would they have noticed that would have made it obvious that these people were not just passed out? Because I can tell you, I've seen a body in my profession, or former profession, that has been passed for 8-10 hours, and they don't look the same. Like where the blood sits, things of that nature.
I mean, it's more colder up there, so I don't think there'd be any smell right away. And I mean, that takes time for. I think, but sometimes you can smell blood. They might smell blood in there. That's got certain smell. But I mean, it would just depend on how many times they got stabbed. There'd be blood everywhere. I mean, I would say smell. I'm not sure.
Right, but physical appearance, would they have like if
they
there
would
were
have
somebody?
been cold, they would have turned kind of pale, start turning grayish. You know, that's what they would see when they would look at a person. So maybe they would look passed out if they don't see the stab wounds, so they turn them over.
What about bowel movements?
Yeah, would they have created a bowel movement or?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think some bodies do release.
Yeah, I've seen about real pond.
You know, I need to write a note for that, SRB, because that came across my feed, and I meant to check that special out, and I didn't check it out. I'm not sure if I can play those. Does anybody know if I can play the 48-hour special and the 2020 special? I would definitely like to watch those together if we can. Detective Juan, I don't think the defense is going to tear this apart. Some might think, yeah, the phone pings are probably crap for proving much more other than the evidence is good. Appreciate it, Detective Juan. Not to be what? But the body holds in gory? Graphic. That's an interesting autocorrect, Josie. Yes, it does. It does. One who used to detail even hearses, and the hearses they used were to also transport. I know what you mean. Not only the blood count. Not only the blood, but the body fluids as well, because there's a lot of different fluids in the human body coat, and they all are looking for the quickest out possible. And it's all just, so yeah, it's just a very small amount of information. If we ever see the crime scene photos, I'm sure. They did say it was messy. Yeah, they did say it was messy. Yeah, I can imagine. And then, to be 8 hours later, that definitely, yeah. 2020 I can play. Sweet. I'll make a note of that, and we'll definitely watch that together. Maybe Wednesday night, because I have a feeling Tuesday night we are going to be talking all about Call 1 and Call 2. I don't want to explain the fluids too much, Kel. You can do some Googling, trust me. It's pretty gross. Yeah, exactly, Josie. And if you ever, it's a smell that you'll never forget, and it's a smell that doesn't smell like anything you can compare it to. That's all I'll say.
Deceased. And so that's true. But, I had a situation one time where I went to a call, and there was a guy who had passed. He had fallen asleep, and he was intoxicated and threw up and passed away like that. When we turned him over, this had been probably about 7 hours after he had passed when we got there. Rigor mortis had already set in. And so for those that don't know what rigor mortis is, this is where the body stiffens up. Blood had pooled into, had gone downward. So blood is not pumping or circulating anymore. So it kind of, gravity does its deal there, and blood will it'll sit at the further southest point of the body, or where it's laid at. And in this situation, this guy fell asleep. He actually fell asleep like this, in his face forward, but he covered, his friends covered his mouth this way, and so when he threw up, it didn't come out, and he drowned. He was unrecognizable. This guy, I had known of him. He was not a friend or anything, but I had seen him, had a couple of dealings with him. I couldn't recognize him. His face was swollen. One side of his face where the blood set was like, was distorted, and it was swollen to that direction. And so, you know, I find it difficult to believe that if they're visibly seeing somebody, that they would assume that that person is just passed out. There's a lot of clues there that come across when you come across a body that has been deceased for that period of time.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, we're not victim blaming or any of those things. You know, one thing that, you know, Jaime had brought up when we were talking with Kim on the phone was that when somebody goes into shock or freeze, sometimes they do things without knowing what they're doing. They just walk in a direction, close the door, sit there. It's not just freezing in the moment. There's, you know, until you're in that situation, you don't know what you're going to do. But with that said, summoning friends over and those type of things prior to, you know, calling authorities is the big question mark for me.
One of the things that Kim did say is that, you know, she said, you know, 4 families lost their children, and then she's just worried that it's not safe there for her children. So that's her worries. You know, it's one of her main things why she's calling and why she's doing this, is to just make sure the community is safe. If there is somebody else, or, you know, she's, you know, she said Brian was a monster, and that Brian, hopefully, you know, it comes out to be that he was the only person there, and if he did it, he goes to jail. You know, everything happens for through the judicial system. But, you know, as a parent, you know, you always want your kids to be safe. So I kind of see where she comes from. So we'll go from there.
Yeah. And you know, I'll say this, you know, listening to her story and what she has to say and answering some of the questions that I might have, a lot of it fits. A lot of it does fit. Some of it is, like I said, you got to weave in and out of what is added on to the story, just based on it going from one person to another and not coming directly from the source. But that doesn't mean that there's not truth in what she's saying. It may not be everything that she's saying comes out to be 100% true, but, you know, she got a lot of things right.
Sorry about that, Josie.
About, you know, the creepy guy inside the house, somebody seeing him, one of the roommates seeing him and locking themselves in the room, things of that nature. These were all things that they were, you know, they knew ahead of time. And like I said, we did our due diligence to make sure that this wasn't somebody who just claimed to know people. She gave us names and an association, and we were able to go through there and validate those things. And I understand that is you guys taking our word for us doing that, but I'm not going to put out their information just so, you know, it fills somebody else's need for information when it comes to who these people are. All this has been reported again to the FBI and to the police department, so it's not something that is new to them, things of that nature. And like I said, I just hope that this kind of clears up a couple things. With that being said, guys, I encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button again. Thank you all for doing that on the last show.
Oh, wow.
I would encourage you guys, if you guys would consider becoming a member. We do shows that kind of talk about the breakdown and backstage look at what we do and how we put this case together. And we actually did one on this one. So members, that one's going to be coming out probably in about 15 minutes after this drops. So thank you again. Hit that like and subscribe button. Like I said, we did our due diligence to make sure that this wasn't somebody who just claimed to know people. She gave us names and an association, and we were able to go through there and validate those things. And I understand that is you guys taking our word for us doing that, but I'm not going to put out their information just so it fills somebody else's need for information when it comes to who these people are. All this has been reported again to the FBI and to the police department, so it's not something that is new to them, things of that nature. And like I said, I just hope that this kind of clears up a couple things. With that being said, guys, I encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. Again, thank you all for doing that on the last show. I would encourage you guys, if you guys would consider becoming a member. We do shows that kind of talk about the breakdown and backstage look at what we do and how we put this case together. And we actually did one on this one. So members, that one's going to be coming out probably in about 15 minutes after this drops. So thank you again. Hit that like and subscribe button and ring that notification.
Do one quick shout out, or it's not a shout out, it's an RIP, shout out. I was a big fan of Walker.79, guys, and he passed away from a heart attack like 3 days ago. Y'all if y'all want to see something funny, he does food tastings. He dresses up like the Joker, and he does it.
Well, I want to say something to what you guys are saying in chat, right? Okay. And this is from personal experience when it comes to that, the smell, right? I could definitely see how somebody walking out there and smelling that could make them pass out because of the smell itself. And I didn't really think about it until we started chatting about it, and I started seeing what you guys are talking about in chat while we're listening to this. And as I'm putting myself in those positions during those experiences, and how it was like I could see just just from the smell, I could see how somebody could be overtaken by that and pass the fuck out. I can see that now. From everybody, what you're saying in chat, definitely. I'm just putting myself there again tonight, and I'm like, whoa. I'm definitely seeing that. So that's interesting. It wasn't a call, it was just... She did talk about stuff off the air. So that was an episode where they revisit a call from a verified source. Startling new details. And again, if you'd like to link to this video, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. Like I said, it's not something we're going to keep going over and over and over and over tonight because, it's a lot. So no, it's not that I had to go. It was just part of the job, but it wasn't part of my job because it was part of their job to do what they needed to do. And a couple times they tried to be some lazy motherfuckers, and I had to call them out on their bullshit. And when they did that and they didn't do what they were supposed to do before I was supposed to do what I was supposed to do, I got there and then I was like, I opened it up and that's how I found out. I was like, oh, yeah. And then I seen it and yeah. And it happened a few times. I had to jump their ass a couple times about it because it was some bullshit. Because I wasn't certified to be even around that shit. So you shouldn't have been bringing it around me in the first place if you weren't so damn lazy. But that's just my personal shit. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in. Thanks for everybody for checking this out. So yeah, definitely. We're not going to be going over and over and over with this thing tonight. I encourage everybody, please, go over it a few times off the show sometime. Take some notes, please. Let's talk about it Tuesday. Let's just have an open panel and an open phone line on Tuesday. And you call and you tell me what you think and what you feel. I want to start crossing stuff off, circling stuff, and writing some new stuff down together, and we'll figure it all out too. Did he post the actual call segments? The first video, I'll put the link to our first video, and I'll go ahead and put the link to the first video or part 1 of their video too. So I'll put both links. This is the podcast from last night where we went over it. So you'll have the brain stew with that one. And then let me go to the channel here and I'll get the link for the first one. And then I'll give you that link as well. Okay, this is part 1. So here's part 1 from the Drunk Turkey Show. So there's the link that has our brain stew in it. I always encourage everybody to chill back and enjoy the brain stew because we do a beautiful job, and I appreciate you guys so much. And I don't know about the second call. I thought we were going to be hearing something, but I know that he said that they were going to, at the end of the first one, he said that they were going to have a conversation directly after the show was over in a few minutes. And so maybe that's why he went ahead and just kind of did this one, because it wasn't recorded, or she didn't want to allow it to be recorded because she didn't want to talk about it on the air. So, I need to get an on-air logo or something behind me that says on air, right? So yeah, so this was a lot of information, just like the first one. I'm definitely gonna have to play it a bunch, go through it, take some extensive notes, and we'll go through it Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, and we could just have an open panel, open phone line. We don't even have to play both of these calls, but if we do, we could always just actually play the call itself from the first video. And that's all we could really, because other than that, we'll just take notes on our own of what this second episode is. And maybe we'll just play the call itself, and that's it. At the end of this one, he said he was putting a new video out right after. I assumed it was, he said members only. I did catch that. You know what? Let me go back to it and we'll replay it. I remember him saying something about members only. Let's check it out.
For us doing that. Yeah. And
let's try and catch.
I'll say this. Listening to her story and what she has to say and answering some of the questions that I might have. A lot of it fit. A lot of it does fit. Some of it is, like I said, you got to weave in and out of what is added onto the story, just based on it going from one person to another and not coming directly from the source. But that doesn't mean that there's not truth in what she's saying. It may not be everything that she's saying comes out to be 100% true, but she got a lot of things right. About the creepy guy inside the house, somebody seeing him, one of the roommates seeing him and locking themselves in the room, things of that nature. These were all things that they were, they knew ahead of time. And like I said, we did our due diligence to make sure that this wasn't somebody who just claimed to know people. She gave us names and an association, and we were able to go through there and validate those things. And I understand that that is you guys taking our word for us doing that, but I'm not going to put out their information just so, you know, it fills somebody else's need for information when it comes to who these people are. All of this has been again to the FBI and to the police department, so it's not something that is new to them, things of that nature. And like I said, I just hope that this kind of clears up a couple things. With that being said, guys, I encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. Again, thank you all for doing that on the last show. I would encourage you guys, if you guys would consider becoming a member. We do shows that kind of talk about the breakdown and backstage look at what we do and how we put this case together. And we actually did one on this one. So members, that one's going to be coming out probably in about 15 minutes after this drops. So thank you again. Hit that like and subscribe button and ring that notification.
Do one quick shout out, or it's not a shout out, it's an RIP, you know, shout out. I was a big fan of Ep.79, guys, and he passed away from a heart attack like 3 days ago. If y'all want to see something funny, he does a lot of food tastings. He dresses up like the Joker, and he does a lot of funny videos. He passed away from a heart attack.
Some of it is, like I said, you got to weave in and out of what is added on to the story, just based on it going from one person to another and not coming directly from the source. But that doesn't mean that there's not truth in what she's saying. It may not be everything that she's saying comes out to be 100% true, but you know, she got a lot of things right, you know, about you know, the creepy guy inside the house, somebody seeing him, one of the roommates seeing him and locking themselves in the room, things of that nature. These were all things that they were, you know, they knew ahead of time. And like I said, we did our due diligence to make sure that this wasn't somebody who just claimed to know people. She gave us names and an association, and we were able to go through there and validate those things. And I understand that that is you guys taking our word for us doing that, but I'm not going to put out their information just so, you know, it fills somebody else's need for information when it comes to who these people are. All this has been reported again to the FBI and to the police department, so it's not something that is new to them, things of that nature. And like I said, I just hope that this kind of clears up a couple things. With that being said, guys, I encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. Again, thank you all for doing that on the last show. I would encourage you guys, if you guys would consider becoming a member. We do shows that kind of talk about the breakdown and backstage look at what we do and how we put this case together. And
I have a question. Do you have to be monetized to have memberships? Can I have memberships right now and then create my own emojis and stuff like that? Because I'll definitely create my own GIFs and emojis and stuff for the different levels and things like that. So I'm new to this, and it's something I need to look up or look into, is if I can have memberships or if you have to be monetized for that. I'm just not sure. Or even super chat. I don't even think you can get super chats yet either. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think he said members. There's going to be a members only. So maybe in a day or two, it'll be released to us. That'll be neat. So yeah, we should definitely go over part 1 and part 2. We'll listen to part 1 call again when we do Tuesday night show. Please, even if you're not into football or anything, just hang out with us tomorrow night. We'll be doing the Monday Night Football Cowboys versus Buccaneers podcast, sports podcast. It won't happen too often where a nightly podcast will end up being a sports podcast, but it'll be for major events and such. I'm glad I was able to introduce the sports into the podcast. It's another passion of mine. And as far as I know, it's just about a minute and a couple seconds, and I'm not going to use this YouTube channel anymore. And other than that, I think I'm good. I don't even think it affected anything or where it plays. So I was pretty excited to find out that my strategy from the last time it happened on Christmas, my strategy worked. So there's definitely more homework I need to do when it comes to sources, when it comes to how I did my approach with the show, the way that I did the show. But I'm excited, and I'm excited for the Cowboys to be playing against the Buccaneers, and it's all it's going to be tomorrow night. And I'm definitely going to have open phone lines, open panel chat. Definitely going to be fun. So I appreciate everybody. Even if you didn't watch the sports show, but you just came in to say hi and hit the like, I really appreciate it. Really, I do. All right, I'm going to go through these here real quick, do a quick swoop through, see if anything's sticking out on me. I don't know if I even want to check out the insanity plea one. Excuse me. And if anybody does have anything to say, you're more than welcome to hop on. I'm probably going to be ending the stream here in a few. There's a lot of streaming today, but what a sports show. I enjoyed it so much this afternoon. It's just another passion of mine. I always wanted to talk sports, ever since I was young. I always wanted to talk sports and have a call in and just talk sports. But I love this true crime stuff. The amount of brain stew that it takes and the team effort is awesome, and I love it. That's what I enjoy the most about doing these true crime and case update podcasts every night with you guys is the team effort. It's not just me. I love being part of a team. I love doing my part for the collective, and it's exciting. And the sports stuff, that's just more of a personal thing. Let me see here. We did watch that. Reacts to online posts. We did watch that. Let's see. New York Times. We did watch that yesterday. Okay, so we already made it through pretty much all of them. I do want to play this one real quick because somebody mentioned something a couple nights ago about the clouded leopard that escaped. Good night, Dre. Thank you for hanging out, and I appreciate it so much. Oh, you be the opposite team murder. I'm sure. Yeah. Of course. I don't see why you can't. I'm not sure. I would definitely like to do memberships if I could and create emojis and stuff for you guys and GIFs. I think it'd be pretty neat. Do different poses or something, like or ha 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 ha. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, SRB. If I can't check it out tonight, I will check it out tomorrow before the sports show. Let's pray, fan. I'm hoping. All right, let's see here. Martha. Okay, I did want to check this out. This did catch my eye, but first, and we can get to some of these other ones on another night. We know we got until June 26th until this next court date, so there's plenty of time to go over a lot of this stuff. I do want to play this clouded leopard video first.
An update to a story that's been trending on our website all weekend. The Dallas Zoo says that clouded leopard who escaped on Friday is doing well. Her name is Nova, and she shows no signs of injury. Dallas police say they found a cut in the fencing surrounding her exhibit. Personnel also showed police a similar cut in the enclosure for the langur monkeys. Police say all of those monkeys were accounted for and did not appear to be harmed or in any danger. They don't know if both of those incidents are related just yet. As for Nova, the zoo says she spent Saturday back in her habitat with her sister Luna, perched high on a branch. They like to be in the trees, while many guests stopped by to wish her well. Zoo staff say she was missing for about 8 hours. That's the reason why the zoo closed on Friday. Nova was found not too far from her enclosure in some nearby trees.
We tried to think like a cat yesterday afternoon, and we predicted she would climb a tree, stay close to home territory, stay close to her sister, and that is pretty much what she did.
All right, not too far. In Dallas police, well, they're now investigating to see if both of those fence cutting incidents are related.
Dang it, I couldn't get it in time.
An update to a story that's been
I
trending on
wonder
our
how it
website
got
all
out.
weekend. The Dallas Zoo says that
Right? Wonder how it got out. Ooh, it took me to the top again. Sneaky. But I only have 61 videos to go through, so there. All right, so we're going to check out this one. This is True Crime Rocket Science. And then after this, after we get through this, Cassie, I want to pet one, right? Wow. I'm glad they found her. I was afraid they... Yeah, I know, Allison. Yeah, somebody brought it up in chat a couple days ago, and I was like, shoot, I had a couple other videos, big flip. This is True Crime Rocket Science. And I'll go ahead and post a link to the video after we start watching it here. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and end the show a little early this evening. It's Sunday night. And I'm not 100%, but I might be going to Twitch to do just a teeny bit of gaming. I need to get some extra sleep tonight. Got a long day tomorrow. But if I do hop on there, here's the link to it. If I do hop on there, you'll get a notification. See you later, Detective Juan. Thanks for hopping in, man. This is True Crime. Hey, what's up, Scottish Queen? How you doing? Oh, shit. Scottish Queen has arrived. Hi, y'all, people. Definitely. Oh, there's been a lot of great streams, Scottish Queen. A lot of great brain stew, too. How you been doing? Hope everything's been going good. Definitely missed you. Talked about you. Oh, thank you, Detective Juan. I always appreciate your brain stew when you come in here, man. For real. Good night, Josie. Appreciate it. Damn, everybody's leaving. You don't want to see True Crime Rocket Science? Yeah, it's Sunday night. I'm tired. I got to get some sleep, and I might be doing some gaming on Twitch for a little bit. You'll get a notification if I'm going live. I got to get off here, snack, and then I'm going to see what I'm doing. I might just hit the hay early. Call it an evening. Definitely some great shows tonight. Last night, 2 episodes you need to rewatch if you haven't watched them, because we got part 1 and part 2 of the Drunken Turkey Show Caller. Definitely you need to watch each episode a few times. Take some notes. Please hop in Tuesday night and let's talk about it. Open chat, phone lines, whatever. Let's discuss the notes. Let's discuss everything that was talked about. In the beginning of Tuesday night show, we're going to play the call itself, and that's it, just the call. I'm going to slow it down so that way we can, actually hear it at a decent speed. And then we'll get into the notes and everything, and we'll start talking about it. And I'm going to be doing Monday Night Football, CJ Sports Show tomorrow night. It's just going to be about the Cowboys and Buccaneers game. I did a sports podcast earlier today. Bunch of different things on sports, covered a bunch of different things. It was beautiful. You got the live replays of the game that was going on while we had the show. It was a lot of testing, a lot of trial, because tomorrow night I'm excited. Dallas Cowboys, baby, let's go. And if you want to come in there and talk shit, I understand. You probably already want to anyway, because it's not easy being a Cowboys fan. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you know what I mean. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. All right, let's go to True Crime Rocket Science, and let's see what this video is about. It did catch my eye when we got in here tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I appreciate you. And even if you don't enjoy sports, come hang out and chat and, just talk bullshit with us. We're just going to be kicking back, kicking it to the game. I might do a special setup for tomorrow night to have something in the background. I don't know. I don't want to get shut down, but we'll see what's up. All right. Idaho Martha provides an inmate sensitive portrait of the victims. What is this?
We called him and we said, hey, are you coming? And he said, no, I think Ethan's dead. And then we walked out into the courtyard and somebody said that Santa was dead.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. I feel pretty stupid for not being able to figure this one out earlier. I think we sometimes fail to think holistically, and I think that comes from the way Google programs us to think. Want an outcome? Click like. Click on this or that. Things tend to feel binary in a situation like that, but human dynamics are more complex, more subtle than off or on, a 1 or a 0. Now, while I think it's fair to suggest perhaps something done at the house.
Oh, prayers, Scottish Queen. I'm sorry. I'm glad you hopped in and said hi. We appreciate you and we love you. For real. And Cal, prayers for JSD too. I hope JSD's doing okay. For real, prayers for everybody.
That someone didn't want to acknowledge, right? In terms of why take D so long to call 911. I think it made a more obvious point. And so I think the specific question, why did D take so long to call 911, needs to be reframed to this. Why did D and B and the collective of students take so long to call 911? Or simply just, why did they take so long to call 911? And I sort of got the feeling when we look at some of the kids giving their side of the story, and it really makes it real. There's the tenderness, the sensitivity, the real life experience that it is for them, including this.
One of the things that made it the toughest was the TikTok sleuths. TikTok sleuths and the people who made out the people that I love and know into monsters online.
Then I think the real subtlety of that human dynamic does start to shine through. When we see Martha giving her side of the story for the first time in some of these latest documentaries, as you've heard from Dateline, the answer now seems obvious. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started.
And so we didn't know if it was a carbon monoxide thing, we didn't know. And so we all basically stood in a big quiet circle and watched all the beginning stuff happen.
I don't think the students were primarily afraid of alerting the cops. I don't think that was the main concern. But I think what they were concerned about was of the natural consequence to doing just that. I don't think they were afraid of the cops as much as this idea that their parents would find out, right, that something terrible had happened and that there was now legitimate fear and that they would be sort of summoned home. You need to come home right now, right? And they had to have known in an instant that this would be high profile. It's not one murder, it's 4 murders. That it would, at a minimum, make the local news, if not the national news. And it sort of makes you wonder if that call came through when it did, and just saying there's an unconscious person, was that kind of an early attempt to sort of minimize what was going on in order that the kids, bear in mind, even if you weren't in the house, if you were in the neighborhood, you would also be summoned home. And the other kid may not have been thrilled at this idea. So if you imagine, for example, a situation where D tells B something, or D tells someone else, or B tells someone else as well, but you would imagine D tells B and D talk about it, and then they tell other people about it, and then it becomes kind of something that many of them start talking about, right? Perhaps a boy or boyfriend is called, and perhaps that person convinces her to do or to delay. because as soon as they call the cops, the party is over for everyone. Basically, everything that was going to happen from that day forth, a party the next day, an exam a couple of days later, whatever graduation parties, all of that would come to a crashing end. And they don't want their party to be over. On Friday night, they had a rip-roaring party where 150 people attended. Well, that is all going to be over. And we do know, I haven't been able to find that information, but we do know that there were parties after the incident where one of the reporters, I think it may have been Brian Enton, just went into the apartment, or went alongside the apartments, and you could hear parties going on subsequent to the murders. But of course, all those kids were summoned home after that. And so it did bring it to a crashing end. Imagine it's the end of your senior year. Aren't you going to be desperate just to end it on the kind of high note that you wanted? And now this incident has interfered with that, has messed all of that up. Now, let me ask you a question, and it may seem unfair, it may even seem unkind. Sure, we know what you need to do in a situation like this as the true crime community. Sitting outside of it, it seems obvious. Just call 911. But think about how it feels like psychopathy, not in all respects, but in some respects, to this idea that there are dead people in your home or in your neighborhood, but your primary priority appears to be that you want to make sure that the parties go on. And that is part of, psychopathy is about impaired empathy, a lack of remorse, being egotistical, right? Think about that and this whole thing of not calling 911. Isn't there a little bit of narcissism involved that we want the show to go on? But then, of course, they did call 911, right? And then that is exactly what happened. On the 30th of November, there was a headline, Idaho students largely abandoned campus after 4 are slain. It turned the campus into a kind of a ghost town. What a way to end your final year at college, especially after the pandemic. It shut down so much. And I do think it's worth thinking about and talking about this idea of psychopathy in both a broad and a narrow way, right? Because I think it brings us to another aspect of the criminal psychology that we can kind of no longer avoid addressing. The crime is a portrait of psychopathy. And so that makes us ask, is Brian a psychopath? Which brings up another question. Well, can a psychopath be neurotic? And the answer is absolutely. So we will be exploring this question in more detail. But one thing that is clear is anyone who is addicted to drugs or really seriously addicted to anything is psychopathic in terms of their attitude to the outside world. Does that explain anything in terms of Koberger? And if one of the traits of a psychopath is the inability to distinguish between right and wrong, the sort of conflation of something with something else, you're not really able to tell the difference in reality so much anymore, right? Think about Brian's sister in a movie about a stabbing. Well, now so is he. Or maybe how a psychopath thinks about it. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.
Such cool intros and outros. I like that. I need to come up with like an intro or something. If anybody wants to do one for me, send it to me and I'll just throw it up there. Seriously, if there's any graphic people out there or whatever that have the programs and whatever, and they're bored and they want to do something, go ahead. I'll put it up. Send what play to McCassie? I need to get some sleep hopping off. Yes, I'm going to be hopping off here too. I'm going to be ending the evening. Get some extra sleep tonight. I don't know if I'm going to do some gaming. I might. You might see me hop on, but I might hop. I'm going to definitely snack on some food after the show here. And then after that, I need to do some description stuff. And then I'm either going to head to sleep, get some extra sleep, or I'm going to do a little bit of gaming if I'm still awake. We'll see what happens, though. You never know, because once you eat a meal, then you're just like, you just never know. You still might have energy, but then at the same time, you could sit back and go, damn, I'm ready for bed. Is anybody going live tomorrow? Is anybody going live tomorrow? If you're in chat, let me know. I'll definitely hit the notify. I'll check my subscriptions too and see. But I'm definitely going to be listening to these calls again for sure. Especially her call. I want to hear what my coworker has to say. And then we'll go into it Tuesday night, and I'm going to be ready for some Monday night football tomorrow night. I'm excited. I can't wait. Everything worked out great. It was beautiful. You got replays, you got stats, you got everything. And you got a little bit of other stuff in between. So I want to say thank you to everybody for hanging out. Appreciate you. Hope you have a peaceful and positive evening. Let me see here. Not tomorrow, but soon. But soon. Ooh, I can't wait. What's the score of the Bengals game? And please take care of yourself, Scottish Queen. Thank you for hopping in. I like throwing that breaking news up there. I missed you. Hope you do too, Josie. Josie, thank you so much for your links and your information tonight as well. Seriously. It's all of you that make this show what it is, and I couldn't do it without you. 98-yard. Holy crap. There's been some great football games, everybody. Been some great football games this weekend. And I can't wait for tomorrow night. I'm so excited, but I'm so damn nervous because you know how it is when you're a Cowboys fan. When the playoffs come up, they always find a way to fuck it up. Always find a way to fuck it up. Cincinnati 20. I'm surprised it's that close, Cassie. I figured Cincinnati would be taken away with it, honestly. That's what I was thinking. Yes, they did, Phantom. That was crazy. If you watch my sports show from earlier, we went through where it was from a creator called Microphone, and it was him talking about the Jaguars comeback win and what should happen to the coach, and I feel the same way. I feel that dude should be fired because, man, the talent that the Chargers have and wasted it on decisions like that, oh boy. Yeah, check out the podcast from earlier. Seriously. Come hang out tomorrow night if you guys would like. I appreciate you so much. Hope you have a peaceful, positive evening. Get some good rest, everybody. Stay warm. And if you want to join me on Monday Night Football, I'll see you tonight. Otherwise, let's get our notes together and let's talk about this part 1 and part 2 on Tuesday night. I can't wait to see you guys. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you.